This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and cryptocurrency space. Hey folks, it is clear that DeFi is continuing to drive innovation and growth in the crypto space. The Crypto Conversation sponsor BitGet has dived deep into DeFi with the recent evolution of the BitGet wallet, a self-custody multi-chain DeFi wallet. You can think of the BitGet wallet as the integration of some of the best parts of decentralized finance or DeFi with the BitGet exchange, centralized finance or CeFi structure. And it's more than just secure storage. One of the most important aspects of the Web3 BitGet wallet is BitGet Swap, which supports tokens from more than 90 different blockchains and offers cross-chain compatibility across 17 different chains. BitGet Swap aggregates liquidity across 100 DEXs and leverages intelligent routing mechanisms to provide users with the best trading prices across different protocols. So try the BitGet wallet. Download the app today. I've put a link in the show notes, or just go to web3.bitget.com. All right. Well, thank you to BitGet. And now it is on with the show. My guests today are Riyaz and Nassim. They are the former Chief Technology Officer and Chief Security Officer at A16Z Crypto, and also now currently the founders of Bastion. Welcome, Riyaz, and welcome, Nas.
Thanks for having us.
It is a pleasure. I think we'll do what we do at the beginning of the show, gentlemen, which I'd love it if you could both just briefly, I guess, introduce yourselves and share just a little bit of your personal and professional backstory and what has led you to teaming up and founding Bastion. Riyaz, let's go with you first.
Sounds great. And I think a lot of it will actually be a lot of overlap with Nas, since we've actually worked together already for, if you round up, almost a decade, just over about 8 years now. So Nas and I first met at Docker on the security team, working through containers, Linux, OS security, and making it really usable so the devs would still love using Docker and deploy it across all the clouds. We then went to Anchorage, where I joined as a founding engineer, and Nas as an early engineer as well, working through institutional custody. So hedge funds, VCs, banks that wanted to securely hold crypto in a way that worked for their institutions and in a regulatory compliant manner. That was our first foray into crypto, really built a lot of the core security and infrastructure. We then went to Facebook, where we also built crypto infrastructure, but really wallet infrastructure for Facebook scale. And 3 billion users, how do you make that scale and still keep users safe in a UX that Facebook users understand and aren't exposed to the all the sharp edges of crypto? We were then most recently, as you mentioned, at Andreessen Horowitz Crypto, where I was CTO and Nas was CISO on the security side, was able to really zoom out and see beyond just one product like we had saw at Facebook or Anchorage, see the full ecosystem, both of the amazing portfolio companies, but also partners. And we've been working together for a while, love working together. And Andreessen Horowitz really realized the need in the market for a solution like Bastion. A bunch of the founders and teams were just yearning for a solution. And we felt that we had to really go out and build it. And so we'll dig into Bastion today. Really excited to, but I'll let Nas fill in any of the gaps. I know we have a lot of overlap, but I'm sure I may have missed something.
Yeah, just copy and paste everything that was said here. It's been a great journey, and I think that the part that was really the most interesting about the journey, really starting on the institutional side to bring the maturity really that the space deserved and really didn't have back in 2017, like a lot of ICOs, etc. And then once we realized that, institutions started to have, with Anchorage and kind of like other solutions out there, the ability to keep really billions of dollars of assets safe and really starting to participate in the governance of protocols and so on, then we kind of realized it was time to move on to really, providing retail with an extremely scalable and secure and compliant solution back at Facebook. And obviously, you may have heard that, Facebook ran into some issues kind of like getting the product out. And so this is where we realized we could actually scale a lot of our expertise and everything that we've learned so far, to the broader ecosystem, and really wanted to make sure that, all the founders out there could benefit from things that we had learned and really wanted to share with them while kind of like learning. So that's kind of like the progressive journey that kind of like led us to Bastion.
Thank you, gentlemen. And just to be clear, with your work at Facebook, are you talking about working on various parts of, I guess, Facebook's proposed stablecoin project?
Exactly. So really, when we arrived at Facebook, the team was essentially releasing the first version of the testnet of the Libra blockchain. Now, or kind of like became known as DM after that. And Riyaz and I essentially joined on the very early stages of building the infrastructure on the backend side of Facebook that would actually connect, hopefully the billions of people that use the Facebook family of apps on Meta, family of apps on a daily basis, to blockchains essentially. So really, our role was really focused on the early stages and kind of like the 0 to 1 and scaling of the custodial wallet infrastructure within Facebook.
Yeah, got it. All right, thank you. All right, well, Bastion then. So I guess to begin with, Riyaz, do you want to give us, I suppose, the high level summary and vision for what you guys are trying to do with Bastion?
Definitely. So with Bastion, there are really 3 core problems that emerged to us from our time across Anchorage, Facebook, but also Andreessen Horowitz, that we knew we had the unique expertise to really dig in and solve. And so these 3 pillars, the parts of Bastion, we really felt were needed to transform the Web3 industry. So first, the onboarding problem. Web3 feels clunky and is often unsafe. And so bringing on that next billion or however many users really needs that as a smooth on-ramp and making onboarding invisible. Second, Web3 experiences are known often for having just too much friction, just from a usability perspective. And then also the costs, like not even just the tokens themselves, but more on the gas and network fee side, the volatility there, the actual costs around it, which makes it hard for brands to really scale and then think about retention of users that they did onboard if you solve the first problem. So even if you get past that first problem, you run in here for the full user journey. And then lastly, today, businesses are already flying blind in Web3 with the lack of data and analytics, and are actually, it's interesting, soon to also fly blind in Web2 when third-party cookies are disabled by various OSs and web browsers. And so for these businesses, it means for them is they're going to lose valuable customer insights essentially overnight, or they don't even have them in the first place to then improve their products. And so these were the 3 problems we saw emerge from our time across our background together, and really thought about Bastion as a platform to begin with solving these 3 individual problems. And we can dig into each one. On the first side, for onboarding feeling clunky and unsafe, we built a custodial wallet infrastructure that works seamlessly with our customers and exposes an API to make Web3 feel like there's no onboarding at all. Things that are made seamless with this are key recovery, account recovery, being like a forgot password, as well as simplifying just complex flows that may take multiple transactions into more simplified APIs. For the second problem, interactive Web3 experiences having too much friction for user experience and the cost, we developed a smart transaction routing system, which essentially routes 70 to 90% of interactions off-chain for most of our customers to save money for business and also improve the usability. We're not having the blockchain finality times, dealing with spikiness. We really believe that the future is a combination of both on-chain and off-chain, and not everything having to go on-chain. And lastly, for the data and analytics piece, we have Bastion's data analytics and insights platform. And it's not just about just the wallets. It's really about the data for every interaction, whether it's on-chain or off-chain, whether that's token gated experiences, using smart transaction routing. We really want to make sure that businesses have the insight and data they need to improve their user experience in their products.
Yeah, got it. Makes sense. Thank you. I guess it'd also be useful to understand who you guys see as the different, I guess, target markets or customer segments for your platform. Understand, I guess it's aimed at brands that are wanting to do various kind of activities across the Web3 space. Who else is it for?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the way we think about it is that there tends to be two different type of businesses that we tend to talk to, and kind of like across industries, whether that's brands and media and gaming and social, etc. The part that is extremely interesting is that generally it kind of like tends to fall into two buckets. The first one being the type of business that have kind of like very specific interactions with their customers at discrete time, and basically want to increase the amount of touch points that they have with their customers between those, right? So for example, think about brands, right? Like you have a luxury brand, you sell an item, and then you're basically not going to know anything about your customer up until they purchase something again the next time, right? That's kind of like, that's the initial thing. And sometimes they actually don't even know who the customer is, right? Like whether you sell it like a duty free or whatever the case might be. And so the goal there is really businesses who want to be in the flow of actions, essentially of digital experiences, basically for their users on a constant basis, increase the amount of touch point, increase the engagement, and provide kind of like incentive for loyalty and brand loyalty specifically, right? And so we're seeing a lot of that. And the other thing that we're seeing as well is, especially on kind of gaming and social, is basically people asking for more reach, whether that's the reach of the content that they absorb, or the reach of their own content out there, essentially, and the ability to interact with people just more broadly. And so we've basically evaluated these two categories as the best, I would say, markets where we can bring a tremendous amount of value for the problems that we're solving, right? The first one is onboarding them to a seamless Web3. The second one being just kind of like beyond the onboarding. Once the onboarding is solved, what does the user journey look like, and how do we remove friction over time? And then the third one is, how do we learn from all of this and put this data back while we provide more freedom for the end user, putting more data essentially in the hands of the businesses.
Sure, thank you. I guess the heady times of 2021, when we had I suppose the global boom in NFTs, the booming interest in the idea of a metaverse and all the associated hype that came with this. Of course, we've since crashed, and there's probably less interest, certainly in NFTs. And, the metaverse hype has, of course, given way to everything AI and large language models. So this is just how hype cycles work. You guys know this better than most, I imagine. But even if that is the case, and we're now sort of down in, I don't know, the trough of disillusionment or somewhere else on that cycle, what do you guys notice in terms of the kind of potential partners or clients or users that you're talking with? Because I imagine it's a little bit harder to get interest, let's just say, from brands right now than it perhaps would have been 2 years ago, or than it might be 2 years in the future. What do you see as the kind of, I guess, the sentiment around the possibility and potential of Web3 at the moment?
It's interesting you bring this up, and certainly Nas and I have seen, as you will have, the cycles of crypto winters followed by a summer and so on and so forth. First, I think the way we view it is this time we're fairly confident that crypto is here to stay. We saw that at Andreessen Horowitz with the best founders and teams coming together. We see that today as well, with businesses still being very interested in building in Web3. And for us, the way we view it is really what we're seeing this cycle, and we saw a little bit last cycle as well, is beyond just speculation. What are the use cases that actually bring value to the business? And at Bastion, we're excited about this because that's what we're looking to enable and help businesses with. And we're seeing it across the board, whether it's with loyalty programs, with NFT specific experiences, tying into games, into other aspects. it's really exciting to see the builder still building and still looking to bring the value where where there is value there, and there certainly is for use cases in Web3. And I think also for us too, as Bastion, we're excited that builders are still building at the protocol layer and other parts of the stack, because then it enables us as the infrastructure and enabler provider to bring the best new innovations that are happening, whether it's in Ethereum or in other ecosystems, and we can build on top of that and then bring to our customers the best value for them to enable their use cases.
Yeah, sure. I would even add something that is very interesting, and basically I do think that between 2017 and 2021, it was pretty clear that the vast majority of the time, the person that was kind of like point of contact for anything Web3 related and crypto was really the head of innovation, head of Web3, head of crypto ads, essentially. And Riyaz and I are just talking essentially to product leaders nowadays. And, obviously kind of like people that are leading innovation specifically always as part of the conversations. And they really did a lot of the groundwork essentially for evangelizing essentially the benefits of the technology. But product teams are involved, business teams are involved, treasury teams are involved. It is a very different conversation from the type of conversations that we used to have, frankly, 2 years ago. And I think that it really shows a level of maturity of the organizations really approaching Web3, right? They're thinking about it as business solving opportunities, as product building opportunities, rather than just trying to showcase some form of how tech forward they are, right? They're actually trying to build a much stronger business via Web3.
Yeah, I'd love it then if you guys could, I suppose, paint a picture of what these kind of brand touch points or customer journeys. Feel free to kind of make up your own examples of, but the potential of what these could look like in, say, 5 years' time. Like I can imagine someone, making a car purchase from a particular brand and the kind of experience that could turn into, or buying a watch or whatever, a handbag, whatever it might be. I'm sure you guys have got better examples, but just where do you see this going? What can we really do as we start to mature?
It's a good question. And I think the way we view it is that even you don't have to wait 5 years today. Even today, big brands like Nike has their sneakers, a swoosh experience, as well as from Artifact. Starbucks has been bringing their loyalty program to Polygon. We're seeing just already today these use cases that are coming into play into the consumer mainstream. And so we expect that this is a starting point, but it's already a very strong starting point where real businesses are going into the space, showing value, showing where interoperability with, for example, with loyalty points to redeem for something that may be off platform, or with gaming, be able to have items that are transferable or recognizable across different games. We're already living in this reality today with some great products. And so our vision is we expect this to, or our view rather, is we expect this to expand, and there will be amazing interactions that I think none of us here will even be able to imagine, but we're excited for that future. And I think at the same time, we're already excited about what businesses are doing today, and we're here to support them.
Yeah. And there are actually, and there are a lot of things that were done, for example, already in the past, for example, loyalty programs for airlines, right? They're actually extremely hard to bootstrap, right? Because of the fragmentation of technology across all the different parties, right? I feel like a lot of the internet tends to be like very unidirectional. It's company A that calls the APIs of company B that talks to the APIs of company C. But here we're talking about a system that makes it extremely easy for bidirectional, multi-directional interactions between companies, right? And so we're seeing a lot of interest, for example, for loyalty programs that are extremely hard to build essentially in Web 2, whereas here companies can all agree, like, look, this is the core business logic of the loyalty program. It's going to live in this kind of like central kind of like place, and it almost, the smart contract almost acts as this kind of shared backend between these companies, and it's really just a new way for them to have a much more efficient software, infrastructure, operationally, it's a lot easier. From a risk management perspective, also a lot easier. And so a lot of companies are even realizing that Web3 actually oftentimes makes it even cheaper to achieve kind of like cross ecosystem products, which are extremely valuable and already exist, right? They're going to become a lot more efficient for these companies.
Yeah, very much so. And, you talked about, I suppose, smoothing away some of the sharper edges of crypto. And obviously, this is very much needed. Just internet users are used to the seamless experiences, shall we say, of Web 2. And most new users in crypto discover that, it's not seamless. It's not easy. And as you say, there are sharp edges and things can go wrong. As we've seen from the multitude of hacks and exploits and lost keys, all that gnarly stuff. How do you really you talk about maintaining or building these, I guess it's next generation of wallets that allow people to be able to log in, perhaps using their Web 2 credentials and things like that. Is that sort of where the balance is in terms of where we go next?
Good question. And the way we view it is really making, as you pointed out, Web3 experience feel like Web 2, and it's not a foreign new thing. And what that means, just tactically, is 0 or 1 click interactions, right? You log in and you're not clicking 7 times to approve 7 different things to do the one thing you wanted to do. And really, user experience for us drives how we design everything on the back end and make blockchain as invisible as it needs to be. What that means, just very concretely, is we integrate with authentication systems with our customer, whether it's a Web 2 credential or whatever is native to their application, so that the idea is that the best onboarding is no onboarding at all. You open this app that you've already had on your phone for a year. Just so it turns out now there's a Bastion wallet that happens to be included. It may not even be called a wallet in the app. It's, however, our customer wants to best expose this to their users. And many of them at this point in time may not want to expose addresses and other blockchain terminology. And we view that as totally fine. And there's a journey of getting into crypto Web3. But regardless of the journey and how education progresses, showing the value in the use cases and making it easy and 0-1 click wherever we can is the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw that you guys, I guess when you were still with A16Z, there's a good I don't know what you call it, blog post or essay or whatever on the A16Z website about key management, right? And the kind of the pros and cons of hot and cold wallets and the different trade-offs. And it always just strikes me, because there are so many different think pieces and takes on this around the internet, but it's just it remains kind of an unsolved problem, really. Where does that go next? I know that's kind of a kind of a vague question and a big topic, but yeah, when do we get really good wallets, I guess?
Yeah, it's a great problem that honestly, had a lot of complex existing solutions. I think, at the end of the day, we're talking about trust and we're talking about security, right? And both of those things are spectrums. They're not binary, they're not the binary choice. It's not something is secure or unsecure. There's not something that is trusted or trustless. It is at the end of the day, a spectrum. And our goal is essentially to provide a way for customers to feel safe and to feel like the experience that they're going through is essentially the best while staying safe. And I think that this is, if you think about, the user journey, everyone starts somewhere. And the vast majority of the people on Earth didn't like passwords. They're not going to like seed phrases. And so they're going to start essentially in a realm where they're going to want to have the security kind of taken care for them, and they're going to want to rely on a third party to take care of the security. Just like, for example, I am not graduating. For example, I have some knowledge on hardware security, but I'm not going to be able to take care of my own hardware security tomorrow, right? And so I'm starting somewhere. If I decide essentially one day to graduate, probably the vendor that I'm going to choose, or like the service provider that I'm going to choose, should have a way for me to graduate, right? And so the way we think about it for the user journey in Web3 is exactly that. So we consider that, our experience and our expertise across Anchorage and Facebook and A16Z really helps us understand how to make security present but invisible as part of the user journey, making sure that it's not a friction, because at the end of the day, the word security is the one that no one uses, is the one that everyone opts out of. And so we want to make sure that the security is there, no one opts out, and then allowing people to just, graduate to self-custody at some point in the user journey if they so want. And so we as Sanctuary are starting on the more custodial side. We want to be the trusted provider. We understand that people are going to evolve over time, and that is the goal of Web3, right? Kind of like giving people this opportunity, and we allow people to essentially export their keys to self-custody whenever they feel like the time is right. But that is essentially kind of like how we conceptualize. Then at the end of the day, whether we're talking about custody, whether we're talking about security, we're always talking about a spectrum, right? And the important part is always safety of the user. Is the system safe? Is the user going to be impacted or be able to shoot itself in the foot with anything that is available? Because if there is one thing that we know, is that users are going to shoot themselves in the foot if they have the opportunity.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. All right. Well, as we finish off this part of the podcast, gentlemen, just tell people, for people who are interested in learning more about Bastion, perhaps following you guys on social, just tell people where they can go to learn more. What should they do? Where should they go?
Totally. Best place is bastion.com, where you can, a couple of things there, learn more about the company, but of course, we have a form to go see a demo of Bastion if we could help with your business and provide this platform to help you build experiences. Also, we're hiring. So there's a careers page for those who are interested in building and helping build what we have at Bastion, and for the next iterations of Bastion to come. We also are on Twitter and LinkedIn. We'll see you there, but excited to connect with you all.
Awesome. Let's go to a very quick break, and then we'll come back. We'll have some fun. We'll finish off by running Riyaz and Nas through the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round. Back in 1 second.
Hey, what are you still doing up?
I've just spent my entire Friday night researching Bitcoin charts, crypto glossaries. My brain feels like it's going to explode.
Why don't you just use BitGet? It's going to save you at least 10,000 hours trying to learn it yourself. It's an online crypto exchange. You can copy successful real-life traders having their expertise to make smarter trades.
Really?
Yes, really. Don't miss out. Get on it now. And by the time you're done, Bitcoin will be worth about $100,000.
I just got my cat to help me do the research.
Hands off, gains up. Start copy trading on BitGet.
All right, we are back, and I'm with Riyaz and Nas. They are the former Chief Technology Officer and Chief Security Officer at A16Z Crypto, now the founders of Bastion, helping build out the frontiers and the rails to bring a Web3 to the next generation of users. Gentlemen, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid-fire Crypto Conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Definitely. Born ready.
Born ready. Let's do it.
I like it. I'm just going to run some questions at you. Just want kind of honest hot take style answers. Let's put the first question to Nas, which is, where would you say that you sit? I know what you're going to say. Where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Yeah, great. Oh, wow, this one is a tough one. I'm a huge fan of Bitcoin, though I think that, as I was mentioning, with kind of companies being able to execute kind of like on-chain code and having the ability essentially to execute more complex logic on-chain as kind of like a part of the backend, this kind of like shared backend between companies, I do think that I've been a huge fan essentially for, Bitcoin and Ethereum kind of like as kind of like leading the innovation. I have to say multi-chain for kind of like the execution layer as well.
Yep, that makes sense. And just as a side note, you guys would have worked presumably closely with David Marcus, right? And he's very much working full steam ahead on Bitcoin, Lightning, all that good stuff now, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Very close to David Marcus and the Lightspark team. Love what they're doing. So very, very excited for that, and have been obviously, talking a lot with them about Lightspark and everywhere we could help. So yeah, very excited about what they're building.
Awesome. All right. Let's go to Riyaz. What would you say is your firmest conviction crypto opinion, Riyaz?
I mean, obviously, and this is a lot of why we're working with Bastion and doing what we're doing, is key management and self-custody is just intractably hard. And there's no metaphor to at least anything that I'm familiar with today. And I think it's, I think we're ways out. I do appreciate the benefits of that and full decentralization, but I think it's, further out than most of us realize, and much, much further out. So
yeah, I actually very much agree with you. Yeah. All right. Well, Nas, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. As security guys, devs, builders, you guys will be familiar with that. But if we look, say 10 years ahead, which is a long time in crypto, Web3 in 10 years time, what does it start to look like?
Yeah, I really do think that, or at least we're trying to make this a reality, just ensuring that products across the spectrum just include Web3 components to them, that, people don't even need to understand what is or know what is executed on a blockchain, what isn't. They just know that they have the reach, that they have essentially the ability essentially to own more things digitally that actually passport across different ecosystems. And it becomes kind of like, this almost becomes like a forcing function for the product builders to understand what to create, right? It's basically, people would come to an app requesting like, hey, I'm only going to use your app if my things actually port over to your app. And so I'm really excited for this new paradigm of having cross ecosystems, kind of like ownership and assets, and an expectation really from billions of people, not just kind of 4 people on crypto Twitter nowadays.
Yeah, like it. Thank you, Nas. Riyaz, William Gibson said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. With that in mind, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Ooh. I think Web3 is, in itself, is a good example, right? I think we're very, very much focused on onboarding the next billion people. If you look at the current number of active users, we're still in the early innings. I think what's exciting is that there are strong communities across all the chains, and just builders building infrastructure. We saw firsthand in the portfolio, Fringers and Horowitz, but also all the great teams just building the space. I think it's just very true Web3 in general. That was my first thought when you were describing that.
Yep, like it. All right, time to finish this off, gentlemen. Let's go each in turn. Nas, we'll start with you. What is your favorite science fiction book, film, or TV show?
Hyperion. I'm a huge fan of Hyperion.
Very nice, very nice. Riyaz.
Ooh, I'm a big Star Wars fan, so let's just all of it. But yeah,
the whole entire Star Wars universe. Yeah. Like it. All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. This has been fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show and spending some time with us. Again, I guess just finish off by shouting out the Bastion website, your Twitter handles, all that good stuff. Go for gold.
Yeah, bastion.com. Nas is NASSYWEAZY, Nassy Weezy, and then myself, Riyaz, RIYAZDF. And of course, on Twitter, we're at Bastion Platform, as well as on LinkedIn.
Awesome. And of course, those links will be in the show notes as well, listeners. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. All the best, and bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andy.
All right. There you go. That was Riyaz and Nas from Bastion. Yeah. helping bring Web3 to the next generation of users. We reached the end of another show. Thank you for listening, team. Please do make sure you are subscribed to the Crypto Conversation in whatever podcast app you are using. But that is it for today. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin.